Well, as Kenya's parliament has approved a contentious finance bill that pushes up taxes, police and protesters are clashing in the streets of the capital Nairobi and other cities. At least 5 protesters have been killed and dozens more have been wounded as police opened fire on demonstrators trying to storm Kenya's legislature. Former US President Obama's half-sister was also tear-gassed on live television. What started out as a peaceful protest turned out ugly by the afternoon, as crowds of protesters began throwing stones at the police and pushed back against barricades, making their way towards the parliament complex, which was sealed off by police in full riot gear. This resulted in massive clashes between police and hundreds of protesters. As protesters set sections of Kenya's parliament ablaze after the bill was passed. Police resorted to opening fire on protesters, resulting in several casualties.
I don't want him as my president. I even regret why I voted him. Yes, he must go. This mini finance bill, we are not amending. We are rejecting.
We withdraw it.
Everything, withdraw it. The money that he uses to travel, ajipange, ametuharibia economy, he must go. Ruto, you must by force.
We are
we are not
tired of you.
pleasing you. We are not pleasing you. You must go by force.
As tensions escalated, anti-tax protesters set Nairobi City Hall on fire. Now, this is the building that houses the county offices and the governor's office. Even the half-sister of former United States President Barack Obama was not spared by the police crackdown in Nairobi. Auma Obama was tear-gassed by police during an interview with CNN live on air while protesting Kenya's controversial finance bill. Across the country, protesters vented their ire over the government's tax push. After Nairobi, protests spread to other cities like Mombasa and President Ruto's hometown in Rift Valley, Eldoret. With the Kenyan Parliament approving the finance bill, moving it through to a third reading by lawmakers, the next step is for the legislation to be sent to the President for assent. President Ruto can send it back to Parliament if he has any objections. So as we speak, the protests are still going on in Nairobi and other cities in Kenya, including the coastal town of Mombasa, Eldoret, Kericho, Kisumu, just to name a few. There have been hundreds of arrests so far, and we are reporting that 5 protesters have been shot dead by the police. This is after some of them breached parliament buildings in the capital Nairobi, after the National Assembly voted to pass the Finance Bill 2024. Now, this bill has gone to the President for assent. He can either assent to the bill or send it back to Parliament for more deliberations, and he had said that he will have a conversation with the protesters saying that Kenya will move forward regardless of the efforts by some people to bring down the country's economy. Now, these protests began on social media, and what is now an unprecedented move in Kenya, because demonstrations are unlike before. These demonstrations are filled with young people or Generation Z who say that the bill stifles so many things and it's very contentious, and they want it not passed and not assented to by the president. Mark Bichachi is a communication and political strategist. He is now joining us from Nairobi, Kenya. Mark, good to see you and welcome. This is a very trying time for Kenya. 5 people have lost their lives and several people have been injured. The National Assembly has been breached and the City Hall has also been burned. The lawmakers passed the controversial Finance Bill 2024. It's up to the president to assent to it or take it back to Parliament. How is President Ruto going to balance this going forward, and what needs to happen now or next?
Well, you're quite right in your assessment that this is quite a dire situation for Kenya. The internet has been cut down to 40%, which is why I've been having difficulty even joining this particular Zoom call. At the same time, the president has landed back in State House, and there are many protesters on the streets. You've said that at least 5 have lost their lives. Reports I'm receiving is about 10 have lost their lives, with some speculating that there were snipers in a nearby building called the KICC, which there were snipers which many Kenyans are saying that were being used to fire upon the protesters. So the question that you've asked, what does the president need to do? Well, it's a difficult question. Some have speculated that he needs to declare a state of emergency. Others have said that he needs to declare a state of martial law. Others have said that he simply needs to not assent to the bill and take it back to Parliament. The difficulty here being that I'm talking to you on the June the 25th, 2024, as of July 1st, 2024, there will be need for Kenya to have a new budget in place. So the president is indeed caught between a rock and a hard place. It will be difficult for him to actually maneuver through this, especially given that these particular demonstrations do not seem to have a particular leader, given that many of the purported leaders were arrested last night and the demonstrations still went on, managing to break the cordon that was around Parliament. Now the fear is whether these young people will either A, go home, or B, continue their demonstrations and push towards the State House.
Mark, tell us why these protests are unprecedented for Kenya in regards to the power of social media and the Gen Z. President William Ruto is not even halfway through his first term. Is this going to dent his leadership in the long run?
Well, the question that we've got to ask ourselves immediately is whether his legitimacy and mandate as a leader is going to continue, because first and foremost, these demonstrations seem to show that he has lost his credibility before the people. He's lost his acceptability, and what remains to be asked is whether he can hold on to power. Now, in terms of how unprecedented this is a generation of young people who did not participate in elections last elections, that was in 2022. They did not participate. They seemed to be politically ambiguous and politically uncaring. Now, suddenly, these young people have come up. They've organized themselves on social media. They've doxed a lot of the parliamentary leadership. They've doxed a lot of even the deputy president's number, the prime CS's number, has been shared on social media. But beyond that, we've seen young people that are fearless. They are saying they're not afraid of the police bullets. They're not afraid of the guns, and they're willing to continue to protest. So this is quite unprecedented. Also, throughout the time that Kenya has existed, never has parliament been breached. Never have we seen a threat to the actual presidency as we are seeing in these particular demonstrations.
All right, Mark Bichanchi, we'll have to leave it there. Mark Bichanchi is live in Nairobi. Take care, and thank you very much for talking to WION World is One today.
All right, take care.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.